Who would win if the modern Monsterverse Godzilla and the classic Showa era Godzilla fought each other? With the release of the new Empire, a lot of people have often compared its lighter tone and wrestling moves to the famously campy Showa era. So who would win, the classic or the modern Godzilla? While Showa Godzilla isn't the original Godzilla, he was the Godzilla that appeared right after the original 1954 Godzilla in 1955, and is the Godzilla we follow throughout the Showa era from 1955 to 1975. Monsterverse Godzilla likely being the most famous Godzilla in the current and ongoing Monsterverse, we are going to be taking both versions of the characters at their prime base strength, so no temporary amps or power-ups. For Monsterverse, we'll be using base GXK or New Empire Godzilla, as that's his strongest base form. For Showa Godzilla, however, it's a bit contentious, but most people believe he's at his strongest during Destroy All Monsters, which takes place in the year 1999. And while Terror of Mechagodzilla was the last Showa film, it takes place in 1975, and we know by 1999, Showa Godzilla would have grown considerably in power since then. So, base New Empire Godzilla versus base Destroy All Monsters Godzilla. Both combatants will be in a neutral battleground, such as Tokyo, so no running away to absorb energy, and both characters' only goal is being to kill the other. Also, remember, if you guys subscribe right now, I will buy every SH Figuarts by Alante figure on a live stream in the future. Also, credit to Godzilla King of the Monsters for the majority of the calculations in this video. He's very knowledgeable, so definitely check out his channel after watching this if you haven't already. Anyway, enjoy. When it comes to determining which of these Godzillas is most powerful, most look to each incarnation's size and compare them. While obviously Monsterverse has a definitive height and weight advantage on the smaller Showa, I believe this brings us no closer to determining which is more powerful, as we know just because you're larger doesn't mean you can generate more power necessarily, especially in fictional universes. For example, this is like arguing Butterbean is more powerful than Superman because Butterbean weighs more than him. Either way, we've seen Showa Godzilla in Zone Fighter easily lift and rip apart Terror Beasts. Terror Beasts being just as heavy, if not heavier, than Monsterverse Godzilla, and can even overpower his version of Ghidorah, who can stop entire comets in space. Monsterverse Godzilla has also wrestled enemies larger than himself, and overpowered Kong, who can move millions of tons. So both Godzillas will be capable of wrestling or lifting each other, regardless of size, for those of you who are going to bring up the size and weight advantage. With that said, who is more powerful? Well, we need to look at their feats they've performed throughout their film appearances. As we all know, both Godzillas, at least in their peaks, are pretty much immune to all conventional weaponry, with even Castle Bravo being one of the most powerful nuclear weapons ever tested. Not only does it not even scratch them, but in fact empowers them. So we need to look into their more powerful feats to find their limits. For Monsterverse, in Godzilla Awakening, a prequel comic to the 2014 film, Godzilla endures the impact of the Permian asteroid that caused the Permian extinction in the Monsterverse. This impact is confirmed to be just as powerful as the meteor that killed off the dinosaurs during the Cretaceous extinction, meaning Monsterverse Godzilla can endure 72 teratons of TNT without a scratch. For reference, that's over 4 million times more powerful than the Castle Bravo nuclear explosion, or, in simple terms, country level. Yes, this impact hit Godzilla, as Godzilla is standing right next to the meteor's crater. While yes, I know people have a problem with the canon of the prequel comics, the Monsterverse has always stated these comics as canon prequels to the novels. with comic exclusive titans like Shinomura and Muto Prime being name dropped constantly in the 2014 and King of the Monsters novelizations, likely only being taken out of the final film due to the movie audience likely not have read the comics. People still disregard these comics as not canon because they're inconsistent with the films, but if we're using that logic to completely exclude these extended materials, then you'd also have to say that the films in the Monsterverse aren't canon to each other either, as they contradict each other all the time. Now, are we going to say that the films aren't canon to each other either? No. Clearly, the films and the comics are intended by the creators of the Monsterverse to be the same continuity, so we should treat it as such. Anyway, then in the modern day, Godzilla faces the Muto Prime. The Muto Prime can create massive earthquakes ranging from magnitude 9 to magnitude 12 just by punching the earth, and are capable of ripping through the Earth's mantle. The level of power Muto Prime would need to generate to create these level of earthquakes are at least 9 teratons, or 9 trillion tons of TNT, to over 1.5 petatons, or 1.5 quadrillion tons of TNT. That's easily country to continent level. This being confirmed by Arvid Nelson that Muto Prime utilizes this level of power in her attacks against Godzilla, and confirmed Godzilla is physically more powerful than the Muto Prime. That brings us to Godzilla's battles with Ghidorah, who can easily create continent-sized storms. To create these storms would require over 14 petatons, or 14 trillion tons of TNT, or in simple terms, multi-continent level, and to move these storms would require 1 to 111 exatons, or 1 to 111 quintillion tons of TNT, or multi-continent level to moon level. Moving to one of Godzilla's most impressive feats, in Godzilla vs. Kong, Godzilla's atomic breath was capable of blasting to the Earth's core. Since Godzilla's energy is described as a quantum state, causing subatomic destruction, this would require over 4 zetatons, or 4 sextillion tons of TNT, or small planet level. Godzilla's also fought Shimo in the past. Shimo was capable of creating the last ice age and freezing all of Greenland. Since Shimo's beam is confirmed to be absolute zero, meaning Shimo can freeze things on a subatomic level, freezing Greenland would generate 5.9 yotatons, or 5.9 septillion tons of TNT, or large planet level. And Godzilla could match this beam even in ancient times. This is consistent as Shimo and Ghidorah are also stated to be planet destroyers, and base Godzilla can compete with both. Now, some of you might be saying, how is Shimo's feat of just freezing the surface of Greenland equate to large planet levels of energy? Well, as I said before, Shimo's beam operates at absolute zero, meaning she's not only freezing the top of Greenland, but she's freezing the entirety of Greenland at a subatomic level, which requires way more power than just freezing the surface of Greenland. Godzilla's atomic breath is also stated to be the most powerful thing in the universe, which includes supernovas, which output 1 foe of energy, 1 foe being 1 supernova, and is directly compared to stars, and is stated Godzilla's energy is more powerful than the hollow Earth energy, which is directly compared to gamma rays and supermassive black holes. These energies output over 8.8 kilofoe, or 8,800 foes, or 8,800 supernovas, for simplicity's sake. This means Monsterverse Godzilla can output large star to solar system levels of energy. Now, how would Showa Godzilla be able to compete with all that? Showa Godzilla in the early 60s is capable of shaking the entire Earth while fighting King Kong. That's easily 20 petatons, or 20 trillion tons of TNT, or multi-continent level. Showa Godzilla also battles Showa King Ghidorah and forces him to retreat numerous times and makes him bleed by the end of the series. Showa King Ghidorah is confirmed to be a planet destroyer, easily making him planet level, but it's also stated Ghidorah has the destructive power to surpass all supernova, and that in space, Ghidorah is invincible and unrivaled. This would make Ghidorah invincible to over 8,800 foes of energy or solar system levels of power. Showa Godzilla also battled Mechagodzilla numerous times and decapitated Mechagodzilla's head, which was built on the black hole Planet 3 that was being actively consumed by a black hole. This is even more impressive when in the Showa universe it's stated the black hole is composed of hundreds of stars, outputting 2.8 megapho or 2.8 million foes or solar system level, and Godzilla is able to easily tear through his armor despite that. Then, when we get into the spin-off series Zone Fighter, the title character Zone Fighter can tear apart the Garoga terror beasts, which are stated to have greater destructive power than Garoga nukes that destroyed Zone Fighter's home planet Peaceland, which is a gas giant. This would require over 6 foes or large star levels of energy. This is impressive as Zone Fighter can one-shot terror beasts earlier in the series and get a lot stronger by the end, and Godzilla can one-shot terror beasts that give Zone Fighter trouble. Godzilla also grows stronger throughout the Showa era, as Godzilla is nearly killed by Mechagodzilla in their first battle, and then goes on to beat an upgraded Mechagodzilla and Titanosaurus by himself in a 2v1. That's not all for Showa Godzilla's power, as it's confirmed Zone Fighter can easily kill terror beasts who can manipulate the 4th dimension. To avoid having to explain the 4th dimension in this video already, it's basically a dimension in the Showa universe that contains a higher spatial dimension beyond a normal 3-dimensional universe. To put it simply, Godzilla is more powerful than a kaiju that exists and possesses power beyond the normal universe. Am I saying Godzilla is some 4th dimensional entity? No. But Godzilla's attacks, kicks, and punches are able to kill beings that have 4th dimensional power beyond the infinite dimensional universe, easily beyond infinite power. In terms of travel speed, Monsterverse Godzilla has been shown running at Ghidorah in Boston at over 300 miles per hour, and crawling around at fast speeds chasing Kong at over 500 miles per hour. Showa Godzilla as well has been shown to keep up with Zone Fighter, who can run from 500 to 620 miles per hour. For reaction and combat speed, Godzilla has been shown to keep up with and dodge titans like Ghidorah and Kong, who can dodge and block Godzilla's atomic breath after it's been fired, with it being stated to be composed of Cherenkov radiation, which moves at 75% light speed. Showa Godzilla has also shown to block Ghidorah's lasers and can overwhelm Mechagodzilla, who can casually dodge Godzilla's atomic breath and his own lasers, meaning they should both be about relative in speed. Both Godzillas have been shown to think in the middle of combat and exploit enemy weaknesses. In combat, Monsterverse has a brutal and animalistic fighting style resembling bears and Komodo dragons, and he gets particularly aggressive against other opponents that challenge his alpha status. Monsterverse is also capable of suplexing opponents and using wrestling tactics. For Showa Godzilla, he's adept in boxing, judo throws, wrestling, and black belt level karate. He also uses drop kicks and takedowns to pin his opponents and unleash brutal combos on them, and has routinely battled and defeated multiple kaijus at once. For abilities, they obviously both possess the atomic breath, with Monsterverse's breath destroying things at a subatomic level. This would be helpful if Showa Godzilla hasn't been shown enduring Showa Ghidorah's gravity beams, which also have subatomic destruction. Monsterverse Godzilla possesses thermal vision from Mothra, which also telepathically allows him to see pretty much everything on Earth. Monsterverse also possesses his nuclear pulse, which is even more powerful than his atomic breath. Showa can utilize his atomic breath to fly and get stronger as he fights. Showa can also attract lightning bolts from the sky to amplify his strength even further. For reference, King Kong's lightning amp was able to boost Kong up to 100 times his normal strength. Monsterverse can also absorb radiation. However, if he absorbs more than his body can handle, he will go thermonuclear and explode, whereas Showa has shown to possess greater levels of power and consistently grows in power. Most people's arguments against Showa beating Monsterverse is the size and weight difference. However, I've explained earlier that Showa has torn apart and killed kaiju even heavier than Monsterverse before. Yes, Gigan and Godzilla have beaten Showa in the past. However, both instances, Godzilla grew stronger than both Gigan and Mechagodzilla, and they've shown they can damage Showa. Monsterverse hasn't. The last argument people really hold on to is that power scaling isn't accurate to on-screen power, and we've never seen Showa blow up a star or a planet. However, power scaling is just utilizing what the series has told and shown us about how powerful these kaijus are and how to quantify them. Power scalers didn't make Showa Godzilla above supernovas, black holes, or the fourth dimension. The series and creators did. This is far more of a comprehensive breakdown of both Godzilla's abilities, much more than just Googling and reading weights and speeds on Wikizilla. And for those of you who are going to bring up the fact that Monsterverse Godzilla has battled and beaten Superman in the Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong crossover comic, where Godzilla is shown capable of defeating Superman, it should be noted that the canonicity of this crossover to the mainline DC Comics and the canon Monsterverse is very debatable. While yes, it has been stated by DC Comics that pretty much everything is canon, and it's been confirmed the Superman Godzilla beat was equal to the mainline Superman, the Monsterverse Titans could easily be other multiversal variants, not directly connected to the main canon of the Monsterverse. However, even if we did grant Monsterverse Godzilla all that potential scaling of the DC Comics, I'd like to point out that it's been officially stated by Toho that the Marvel Comics Godzilla is canon to the original Showa timeline, meaning that the Showa Godzilla and Marvel Godzilla are one and the same. It's even stated by Stan Lee that they wrote the Godzilla Marvel comic to be a sequel to the original films. Now, obviously, Marvel and DC have very vast and complex cosmologies with crazy feats that I won't get into right now. However, I may cover that in the future if you guys want me to make a sequel video, or you can just check out Chuck's video on the topic. People will point out the size and appearance inconsistencies with the Marvel comic, but it's fully intended by Toho and Stan Lee for the comic to be a follow-up to the Showa films, and even Stan Lee acknowledged these inconsistencies and chalked it up to how they wanted to translate Godzilla into comic form, so no, the inconsistencies don't invalidate the canon. So who would win? Well, I believe Showa Godzilla is far too powerful and versatile for Monsterverse Godzilla to put down, and would likely get destroyed by a dropkick and atomic breath blast. Sure, Monsterverse Godzilla's power has the potential to be comparable to gamma ray bursts and black holes, but even early Showa can damage Showa Ghidorah, who is invincible to the power of gamma rays and black holes. So in conclusion, the expansive Showa universe has a very large and powerful cosmology and history that the Monsterverse just hasn't caught up with yet. But maybe it will one day, and if you think I'm wrong, then tell me why in the comments. Thanks for watching. My next video will likely be covering other Monsterverse Titans in depth, so there's a lot coming, so subscribe if y'all want to stay tuned.